How to tackle your boyfriend not making enough time for you. At some point, you may feel that your boyfriend just isn't making the time for you that he should. Perhaps you feel like he's not putting enough effort into trying to see you or talk with you, or maybe he's become bad at making and keeping plans. No matter what the reason, if you feel like he's not making enough time for you, or even neglecting you, then you can do some things to try to change the situation. For example, you can try to minimize distractions in the relationship, tell him what your needs and expectations are, or end the relationship and look for someone who wants to spend more time with you. Agreeing how to spend time together. Establish a schedule. Talk to your boyfriend about your schedules and together, decide on days or activities that you'd regularly like to make time to be together. This doesn't mean that you should only spend time together on those days, or that you're even committed to always spending time together according to the schedule, but it does give you a nice foundation with which to work. You might plan on Taco Tuesdays for dinner at a local eatery, Fridays going out for dinner and a movie, Saturdays going bike riding or hiking, and Mondays watching television at home. This will help you establish a foundation, but also help you have the conversation about how much time you feel each of you should make for the other. Have a code word. While you two are talking about how much time you expect one another to make for the relationship, also come up with a code word that either of you can say if you're uncomfortable with your partner's behavior. Code words are discreet, quick, simple, and keep the conversation between the two of you. This is especially effective if one of you breaks the technology rules that you agree on. This is also handy if you're in a group setting and he starts making plans with someone else for a time that you already agreed to spend together. Keep your code word simple, but also not an everyday word. You don't want it to be so common that you both get confused. For example, seltzer water, or lampshade, or Professor Xavier, are simple but also unique enough that they won't come up in everyday conversation, typically. Communicating your feelings. Define your expectations. What do you want and expect out of a relationship? Ask yourself what sort of expectations you have about making time for one another. Also think about how you see that time being spent, actively doing things together or each doing your own thing but in the same house. If your vision of how much time partners should make for one another differs substantially from his, consider what sort of compromise is workable for you. Try saying something like, "My expectations for this relationship are that we will see each other at least a few days every week and that we will communicate in some way every day, but it seems like you might not want that much communication. I think we should talk about this and try to reach a compromise." He may be a great guy, but if he can't make the time for you that you want or need, it may be time to face that reality. This might mean breaking up, it might mean counseling. Thinking about the bigger picture. Evaluate him honestly. If your boyfriend is consistently not making enough time for you, it's time to think about who he is. He might be a great guy, but he might not be emotionally ready or willing to be in the sort of relationship that you want. Perhaps he's emotionally immature, or maybe he's just selfish. Looking at him honestly for who he is will only help you in the long run. You might realize that he's just not ready to spend as much time with you as you need or be able to be in a committed, adult relationship. That's not a reflection on him as a person, but shows that you two are at different points in your lives. Define your relationship. You and your boyfriend need to define your relationship, which is different than defining your relationship goals. You both need to communicate what you think your status is and what that status implies, and, more specifically, how much time you expect to make for the relationship on a day-to-day basis. You might find that you're on different pages, which could explain why he's not making enough time for you. You can simply ask him, "What do you see our relationship status as? And what does that mean to you?" If he says that he sees you as an exclusive couple, take the opportunity to ask him, "How do you envision a couple interacting on a day-to-day basis?"